welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Kate. I'm sure you all know me by now, and if you don't already know me, now you do. This month, I am carrying on with doing a refresher of some old videos that I've got that are actually the videos that are getting my highest views. So today, I'm doing a revamp of candidate screening calls. Now this is my, I think, third highest performing video. We're on over 9,000 views, and this video went live in November 2021. So we're going back a while ago now. In fact, that was the year that I started my business. So I'm not saying that what I said in that video is outdated. It certainly is not. But I wanted to do a bit of a refresher, but also add in any new tips, things I've picked up through working with loads of consultants. I think I've worked with over 600 consultants now since I started the business. I listen to loads of candidate calls. I train people on candidate calls all the time. So I thought, let's add some new tips in, help you guys perfect your candidate calls as much as possible. So I'm gonna run through some tips today in completely random order with no level of priority, just as they come to me pretty much. So please excuse the random nature of me going through everything, but I'm gonna make this as succinct as possible so it's easy to understand and you can apply everything that I go through today straight away to your candidate calls. So let's get started. One of the things that I hear people get wrong all the time is they are too transactional on their calls. They literally sound like a robot. So there's no chitter chatter, it's very work-based, it's not very relaxed. It's basically, let's get this call out of the way. I need to tick some boxes. I need to get some questions covered off. Job done, see you later. And what we forget is that this is meant to be a positive experience for the candidate. It's not just about us, it is about them as well. And what I find is that the consultants whose calls are too transactional and robotic, they wonder why they're getting dropouts. They wonder why candidates are ghosting them. They wonder why candidates are using other agencies. And ultimately, you can't expect somebody to be loyal to you, like you and trust you if you do not invest your time in them. So you've got to go away from this tick box question and answer interview technique. It doesn't work. You need to go into more of a relationship-based conversation, which brings me to another tip I wanted to pass on to you today, is you have to make building the relationship a top priority with that candidate. It's got to be about learning about them, building rapport, not just a quick 5-10 minute conversation. You need to invest that time. It's all about relationships, what we do. I don't care what anybody says, it is all about relationships. So you have got to make that call about not just exploring things like their skills, their experience. Of course, that's really, really important, but we also want to delve deeper into the person and show that we actually have an interest in them. And that really, really benefits the candidate experience of the call. What we want them to do is put that phone down and think, do you know what, I really enjoyed speaking to Kate. I really liked her. She's different to other recruiters. She listened to me. She wanted to get to know me. She gave me her time. So that's really, really important. Another important point I wanted to pick up that I touched on very briefly then is you've got to listen. So often what I hear when I do a call coaching with consultants is they'll ask a great question, the candidate gives the answer, and then the next question is another random question. A great question, but it's not going with the flow. And that is quite often because they're in their own head. They're thinking, oh, I wonder what I should ask next, or they're distracted by something. So they're not fully in the conversation. They're not present in the conversation. Now, this causes a couple of problems. First of all, you're not able to go with the flow of the conversation. There's not that natural wave of question, answer and chitter chatter, the rapport building I talked about, that's important. So you're missing that, which makes it then very transactional and robotic, but also you're going to miss out for some really important things they're telling you about what they want, which then means that when you go to talk to them about a job or sell into them how great a consultant you are and how great your agency is, you're not really able to tailor it because you're missing important things they've said. So listening is so, so important. Now, if you feel that listening can be difficult at times, because maybe you are in your own head and you're wondering what to ask next, what I can recommend doing, which I still did right up until I stopped being a consultant. So I was like 7 years in. I had a Word document with a list of questions that I never ever wanted to forget asking. And it was quite a long list. Now, of course, I didn't follow it as a script. It was prompts. And I went with the flow of the conversation still. But it was there, so my brain relaxed and I relaxed. I didn't need to worry about what I was going to ask next. I was going with the flow. And I knew that if I ran out of something to say or I hit a bit of a mind block, all I had to do was look at that Word document. I knew something else I could ask. So that really helped me be more in the conversation and engage more with the candidate and just overall feel more prepared and confident. Another thing I wanted to draw on is not leaving any stone unturned. And that will make sure you do that. Because if you've got these questions that you know are imperative to ask, you know before ending that call that you've asked everything you need to ask. Now, if you go back to the old video, a card will come up for that now. I actually give you some examples of questions that you can ask. I'm not going to go back into that in this video because it would end up being a very long video. But if you want some ideas of what to ask, go back and watch that video and that will give you some great examples. You've got to remember that that candidate is a person. They are a human being with feelings, their own view of the world, their own experiences. They are not a clone of you. So it's about treating others how they need to be treated, not how we want to be treated, because people are different to us. So remember that the person you're speaking to on the other end of the phone is a person and their own person, and you need to modify and adapt. So for example, if you're naturally a very outgoing person, really confident, bubbly, but you start speaking to a candidate who is more reserved, shy and quiet, you being fully out there is going to be a little bit uncomfortable for them at the start. So it's about just toning it down, making them feel comfortable, more secure. And as they start to open up, you mirror that as well. And that is how we build relationships. It's about adapting and modifying. If you want some more tips on how you can adapt and modify your behaviour, I've recently released a 4-part series on this. It is in relation to client behaviours, but you can relate it to candidates. So go back and watch them. I've literally released them in the last couple of months. They will really help you do that. I have always found with candidate calls that applying a structure is a massive benefit. It gives you confidence, it helps you take control of the call, and it makes sure that you get everything that you need in an order that will work for the relationship and the candidate, essentially. So of course you're going to start with an introduction, then you want to go into asking some questions, then you want to go into telling the candidate what you've got to sell. So that could be talking about how you work, your agency, the services you offer, could be a job that you've got, and then it's going into getting a close in there. Do they want to go for the job? Are they happy to be added to your database? And then at the end, what you want to make sure you always do is get referrals. Who else do they know that's looking for a job? As well as, what else have they got going on at the moment? What agencies do they work with? What roles have they got applications with? Where are they interviewing? When are the interviews? Who are they with? How do they compare to the role that you've just told them about? It's so important, this bit of the call, because you need to know how active they are. You want to try and get some leads out of them, essentially, but you also want to try and find out who else they know that's on the market, because that referral may not even be on a job board, on your CRM, on LinkedIn, for all you know. That is every single call you do that. The reason we do that at the end of the call is because you have fully invested in the candidate by this point. They are much more likely to tell you. With your introduction, don't go straight in and start telling them about the job. You want to do an intro that tells them who you are, why you're calling, so you want to get to understand their skills and experience a bit better. You want to be able to tell them about jobs that are relevant, jobs at the moment that you've got that may be relevant, but don't go straight in and say, I've got a great role for you at the moment, and start telling them about it, or just say, I've got a great role at the moment, because they're going to want to know about it straight away. And if they don't like the sound of the job, you've lost them in that call. But you don't even know if the job is right for them at that point to sell it in. So nice short introduction, get to know them, ask them lots of questions, and then go into that. You are not just looking for candidates for the live jobs you've got at the moment. You want to be building up your candidates, your talent pools. So you don't want to lose that candidate at the start of the call. The more calls you complete, the more candidates you'll have in your talent pool. It's a no-brainer. But to finish, I can't emphasize enough, you need to leave no stone unturned. If something doesn't make sense on their CV or with something they say, ask them about it. You don't want to leave that call making assumptions and not being sure of something. You need to fully delve into that candidate and everything about them. Build rapport. Just ask them nice questions. It doesn't have to be work-related questions sometimes. Get chatting to them. Get to know them. I knew some of my candidates' life stories by the end of the call, and this made the relationship better, but also it made the rest of the process better. Easier for me to get them to take an offer. Easier for me to prep them for their interviews. I had more commitment out of them. So just leave no stone unturned and really understand the importance of the relationship and the rapport. That is it for today's video. I know I've done a really quick run through, but these are essential points that I'm seeing people make mistakes on at the moment. These really will better your candidate calls. Remember to go back and watch the old video if you want more in-depth info on the structure and the questions. Also, remember to hit the subscribe button. You do not want to miss the videos. I've got multiple videos being released every month. We've got Recruitment Uncensored, my LinkedIn live show. That runs fortnightly. I have some amazing guests on with me, guys. You need to watch them. You can go back and stream them, or you can watch them live through YouTube as well. Thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate every single one of my viewers. I cannot thank you enough. I will see you on the next video. Have a great day.